Hi, I'm John. This is my show, An American Scheme, where I'm proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother. So this is the Oprah interview that I believe was filmed live, and that's why when Oprah asks him, are you a virgin? It's one of those questions that's like, she did that on live TV. This wasn't a pre-recorded thing. This was happening live from what I remember. And so it's like, okay, now, Oprah asked Michael Jackson if he's a virgin. This is in 1993, so what he's in his early 30s and shit, right? So it's weird because it's like, okay, is that an appropriate question to ask? But it's like, but it's going to be unusual because he's in his 30s, he can't answer it and stuff, right? So Michael Jackson, with all of the attention he's had with women, he has access to all kinds of women. Like when he was dating Tatum O'Neal when he was young, Tatum O'Neal was like willing to have more of a serious relationship and probably to have sex with Michael Jackson, but none of that stuff ever happened. She never had sex with Michael Jackson, but it just shows the opportunity of which Michael Jackson had to have sex with women and stuff, right? But so people, like, there's always all kinds of interviews about Michael Jackson. Like, I'm sure people are, is he a virgin? And who's he going to marry? Who's he dating? Like, okay, those are questions that people are asking, and people talk about that stuff. People actually write articles in paper. That's, like, common. So, like, who's he having sex with and stuff, right? So when Oprah asks him, are you a virgin? It's like, even though she put him on the spot and it's kind of an unusual question, it wasn't, like, out of the realm for questions for her to be able to ask. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say is that now let's say that Oprah had a personal feeling inside and she had done some personal research that Michael was not part of the Jackson family and that Diana Ross is actually Michael Jackson's mom. Okay, now in this situation where nobody's talking about that, nobody's writing articles about it, that's not like a thing that's on people's minds that Michael's not a Jackson. Nobody's thinking about that, right? But let's say Oprah had a personal inside thing that she's thinking, but she doesn't know it's for sure, but she thinks it's true, but she doesn't know. Do you think she would have had the guts to ask Michael that question? And like, think about the reality of the situation. She asked him, are you a virgin? Could she have possibly have asked him, are you actually a member of the Jackson family? She could never have asked that question. It's not a question that could have even possibly been asked. Nobody's ever talking about it. And then if she was wrong, nobody ever would have done any interviews with Oprah Winfrey again. That's what I'm saying is that the reality of the situation, it was justified for her to be able to ask if he was a virgin. But no way could she ask, are you not really a part of the Jackson family, So Michael Jackson invokes, when she's talking about relationships and who's he dating, he invokes the two names of Brooke Shields and Diana Ross. And so Michael Jackson, first of all, he can't, okay, that's his big thing. He can't tell you that Diana Ross is his mom. That's not going to come out of his mouth, right? But in order to cover it up, there's two things that are occurring. Is that, first of all, they're in the entertainment business. And in the entertainment business, you have to look good. You have to be thought of well by the fans, and you want them to be desiring you. You want to be desirable and stuff, right? So Michael Jackson, being the king of pop, if he invokes the name of a woman, that's going to create desirability in that woman. That's going to make her seem appealing to the Michael Jackson fans, okay? So Michael Jackson, like with the Brooke Shields, he's not really in a relationship with Brooke Shields. Him and Brooke Shields are the reason, like the two names, Diana Ross, he trusts her, and they do have some kind of personal relationship. Brooke Shields, he trusts her, and they do have a personal friendship. Okay, so that's why he keeps invoking those two women's names. And then those women understand that we're all in the business. And so they're like, shoot, you want to mention my name, Michael, and make me seem attractive and desirable go ahead. That's what they're like, sure. Do you think Brooke Shields like, no, Michael, don't say my name? She's like, say my name whenever you want, Michael. That's how it would be, right? So that's why, and then he is good friends with her and he trusts her. They've been around long enough that Michael and Brooke have a serious friendship, and he trusts her. And they know, they've had this discussion about him saying her name, and she would say flat out, say my name, say my name, say it, go ahead, say my name. And the same thing with Diana Ross, because not only does it make Diana Ross seem attractive and everything, but it also covers up the truth. And because Michael doesn't want anybody asking him about Diana Ross, and so they can ask him questions about, like, are you going to marry Diana Ross and stuff like that? Yeah, stuff like that. That's commonplace in which the world of which they live. But by him answering questions about saying the things about marrying Diana Ross or having a crush on her or whatever, but that sure takes all of the attention away from Diana Ross being his real mother. See, do you see how it benefits? It benefits him. For him, like, people always, why would Michael ever say he's going to marry Diana Ross? It's like, well, first of all, he can't tell you that she's his mom. And then by saying that benefits him, because now it causes a distraction from the way you're looking at him. You're thinking about them being, and Diana's like, go ahead, make me desirable. Say my name whenever you want. Because Diana doesn't want the world knowing the real truth. She wasn't ready to, she couldn't deal with that either and stuff. So you get all this weird stuff of what you get in Michael's wording of how he talks about people and stuff, right? But what I'm going to show you here is now the reality of, like, we know Diana Ross is in relationships. She's married to all these other men. She's having kids, like, the whole time. The whole time. Of which, any time of what Michael and Diana could have been in a relationship, she's in real relationships. She's got kids. She's married. We know what she's doing and stuff. She's living her life, right? And but Brooke Shields was the one that's like, well, we're not so sure about that. But I've done research on this stuff, so what I'm going to show you is some of the things here. And so we're going to go back and see. Now, that interview was in 1993, because when she asks him, who are you dating, Michael says, Brooke Shields. Okay, so Shields married twice. From 97 to 99, she was married to tennis player Andre Agassi. The couple had been together since 1993. So Brooke Shields is getting involved in a serious relationship with Andre Agassi. This is a real relationship. She's not dating Michael Jackson. And remember, this is way late. Michael and Brooke have been hanging out for a long time, so they're not like dating. You know, that's not what's going on. And she's about to get involved in a serious relationship of where she ends up marrying the guy. So she's not dating Michael Jackson. They might hang out together and have dinner, come over for dinner and stuff, you know, stuff like that. But it's not like a relationship. So this other thing over here, Brooke Shields. Okay, she's born in 65. Brooke Shields was born in 65. So then, okay, so here, when Michael came to the Grammys with Brooke Shields, okay, so 65, so Brooke Shields is like 18 years old here, okay? So she's basically an adult. She was a huge child star. And not only was she a huge child star, she had massive sexual appeal to her being the child star of what she was. She had the movie Blue Lagoon, which is all about sex and stuff, right? But before Blue Lagoon, she did a movie called Pretty Baby, where she's like 12 years old and she does a full nude scene. She does a full nude scene in Pretty Baby. It's weird if you've never seen it and stuff. It's like she's fully nude and she's being photographed by a guy that she ends up marrying in the movie, this older guy. But she's posing, and then she's actually living in a whorehouse, and she loses her virginity, and they auction her off. That's what I'm saying. The movie Pretty Baby, she's living in a whorehouse, and they actually auction off her as a virgin. They auction her off as a virgin, and so that's how she loses her virginity movie. So she ends up working in the whorehouse. Then she marries a guy who's a photographer, and in the movie, he's photographing her fully nude. She does a full nude scene. It was weird in the 70s. They were doing some crazy shit. She's 12 years old. She did a full nude scene in Pretty Baby when she was 12 years old. Then she does the movie Blue Lagoon. But that's why you understand, like, the movie Blue Lagoon, why she got that role is because she had already done a full nude scene at 12 and shit. And then she does that Jordache commercial. She says, nothing comes in between me and my Jordache. And she's sitting there with her legs spread open, saying basically she's not wearing any panties and shit, right? That's what she's saying and stuff. So it's real sexual. She was really like her stuff. But during all that time, which I'm going to show you later, because she says she doesn't lose her virginity till she's 22 years old. I'm going to play that clip for you. Okay, so she says she doesn't lose her virginity until she's 22. And she's actually like a good girl. She's having to deal with a lot of the same issues as Michael Jackson's, having to be in the public eye and all this stuff. And it's a weird situation and stuff, right? So Michael Jackson, when he's taking Brooke Shields to this award show in 1983, now, if you're a dude, you're a rock star, you're going to be taking a girl to a show like that. Usually you're going to be fucking that girl. That's like the reason. It's like, okay, who do I want to have sex with after the show? And I'll bring her with me and stuff. Like, that's a big part of like when people bring stuff, it's like because they're going to be having sex with those people. That's a very major common thing about, right? So this is the Grammys in 83, and Michael's bringing Brooke Shields, okay? So this is his date. But this is what I'm saying is that Michael Jackson and Brooke Shields' relationship was never a real relationship. They're just friends. And they'll even go to places like this. But that's because Brooke Shields showing up with Michael Jackson, now her name's connected to Michael Jackson. And when you're a star like Brooke Shields, she's like, go ahead, say my name. Yeah, connect my name to you. That's fine with me. You know, go ahead, go right ahead. And so that's what she's doing. It's business. It's not about relationship with them.
Well, this is on the way to the Grammys. I had gotten a record 13, I think it was 13 nominations for Thriller. And
okay, so just showing you that there he is, they get out of the car, it's him and Brooke Shields, you know, that's his date. Okay, so if he's going to say, yeah, we dated, yeah, I dated Brooke Shields. Okay, well, that's technically a true a response to a question stuff. He's like, yeah, I dated Brooke Shields. Well, he could say he dated. This is a date, right? But he ain't having sex with her. And so now I'm going to prove to you he is not having sex with her. Okay, now this is a Brooke Shield interview on a show called Jim and Sam. See the Jim and Sam show. This is actually the one that I always say to people, if you want to see a really good, because she does talk about Michael Jackson in this interview, but she talks about her life growing up as an entertainer and things that she had to deal with, and you'll see that a lot of the things of what she was dealing with is very much what like Michael Jackson's dealing. This is why they're such good friends, because they have this common life experience of what they've gone through, which not a lot of people, and they've had to deal with a lot of the same issues. You're going to hear her talking about her personal image issues, and think about Michael Jackson at the time, and think about when she's talking about being a virgin and stuff, and think about Michael Jackson and those same experiences, okay? But she is going to talk about losing her virginity here.
You talk about your self-image. This is interesting. I did. Maybe I knew this and didn't remember, but you talked about when you were 22 and you lost your virginity to Dean Cain.
Superman.
Who's reading this is my new idol. But you said that you heard earlier if you had better self-image. What do you?
I think that, so in my case with regards to that, it was another tidbit that my mother decided I should put in a book, because there's no ramifications of putting in a book that you're a virgin. That'll never come back to haunt you at all.
The thing about books is they don't last.
Yeah, they don't last. People don't read.
No.
So I was so disconnected from that piece of myself, and yet I was confused, because on the one hand I was sort of America's sweetheart, virgin forever, and that was my responsibility as like a Catholic and as America's sweetheart, and then you've got the real just version of me, and not really knowing how to reconcile that. And then sort of this whole body thing, it's like, if I'm Brooke Shields, I should probably look better. You know, that there's that weird kind of, I mean, he was we were together forever, and he was the most patient human I've probably ever met.
How long did you date him before it happened?
2 years.
That's patience.
That's patience.
That's Brooke Shield patience. Anyone else got 3 days with Dean Cain?
It's hilarious, right? Look at her laughing, because how true she knows that is, that she's laughing her ass off, that she dated the Dean Cain who played Superman back on a TV show called Smallville, I think it was, and stuff. And that's hilarious, right? And the guy says, yeah, anybody else got 2 or 3 days with Dean Cain, and they were giving it up, and she made him wait for 2 years. Okay, so she lost her virginity to Dean Cain when she's 22, and she said she's dating him seriously for 2 years prior to that. Okay, so all of that time, right, that's like right after the Michael Jackson Grammy thing, and then she starts dating Dean Cain. She's really dating him. So she's not dating, she's dating Dean Cain. And like she's a virgin. She ain't dating Dean Cain and dating Michael Jackson. That's not happening. There's no way that that's occurring. The Michael Jackson thing is something different. It's a friendship. And now, if Michael Jackson wants to invoke the name Brooke Shields, like say, oh yeah, I date Brooke Shields. Okay, well, don't you think that Dean Cain would be like, what do you mean? Bitch, you've been dating on Michael around my back. You're not having sex with me, but here's Michael over here saying he's taking you out and you guys are dating. Okay, well, Dean Cain's in the business too. He would have understand, no, we don't date. We're good friends. We hang out once in a while. We're not having sex. Okay, so that's why Michael always could say her name. They had some kind of deal where they worked it out where he could say her name, and then they were friends. They were good friends, and they would hang out. But Michael would call it like dating because he's not really doing anything. It's just as like the stuff about how she says how she's got this she's got to live up to the image of being an all-American. She's a virgin, the all-American, the good girl. Okay, well Michael's living all that stuff too. And then she's talking about, then you got the personal images with your image and the stuff, and she says, if I'm Brooke Shield, shouldn't I look better? Don't you think that that's what Michael was going through at the same time too? He's like, well, I'm Michael Jackson, I should look better. And that's where like he gets the nose job, and that's like the beginning process of what leads to all the surgeries, is because he's like got the same, it's like so very much similar to the same experience of what Brooke Shields was dealing with. Michael was dealing with all that same stuff too. And then but it's not just the image, there's the thing about the virgin thing. And the reputation. And she's saying it's funny in here. She says it's funny because when she did lose her virginity, she says, okay, well now, do I got to write another book and tell the world, okay, I'm not a virgin now? It's hilarious. So that's what Michael was doing. But Michael, he's so busy with his music and going on tours and all the things of what he's doing, he's got so many other responsibilities because he's so famous, right? So Michael there was a point where Michael's like, and then he's trying to he's got to do the Diana Ross stuff because he's got to live up to the Jackson family, but he's also trying to hang around Diana Ross with as much as he can and be around her, but that's not a sexual thing. Okay, so the stuff of what he's doing, you can see all these things of what he's doing. He's not having sex, and he goes through his life, and he's so busy and stuff. And he then you got to understand too. At 10 years old, he's told that he's abandoned as a child, so he develops this thing where he just decides not to have sex. He becomes like they're known as incels, where they just don't have sex, and so that's how he develops. That's what his life developed as, and you can see it progress that way up to the time where Oprah asks him, "Are you a virgin?" and stuff, right? But so. She said she's 22 years old, and she was dating Dean Cain for a couple years before that. She's 22. So that right there verifies that Brooke Shields and Michael Jackson never had sex like at the Grammy Awards when he's supposed to be like dating her. That's supposed to be like when so if Michael Jackson ever would have like dated Brooke Shields, if they actually had a real relationship, right, which would have led to some kind of sexual encounter, because by that time they're both adults, and they're big stars, so they would have had sex. That's not what's going on with them. And then right after that, she gets involved with Dean Cain, where she's having a real relationship and stuff, and then she loses her virginity to him when she's 22. So she never had sex with Michael Jackson, because there's no way that after all that time of what they spent together, and then after Michael then wouldn't get into a relationship with her and start having sex. It's never happened. That's just not the relationship that they had. It never happened. Let me see what else I got here. Okay, so we'll go to here then, and we'll go ahead and okay, let's go ahead and play this a little bit.
What kind of woman makes you, I know in the video, wait a minute, no, in the video we're going to see later, we're premiering the world video, but you say that there's a line where you talk about being quenched. So what kind of person does that for you?
Quench my desire.
Yeah, quench my desire.
Yeah, well, Brooke.
Okay, so Brooke never... That's not like the relationship. And I would think that Oprah, this is when she's going to ask him if she's a virgin. Oprah would know, like when he says the name Brooke, Oprah probably, she's in the industry and stuff, and she knows that was just a industry relationship. It wasn't real. So when he invokes the name Brooke, I think that's where Oprah's like, God damn, is he a virgin? I'm asking him. It's like, this is straight up bullshit. And Oprah's like, this is bullshit. She's like, fuck, what's wrong? Because the whole thing is like, at this point, Oprah knows something's wrong here. And you got to understand, now we've came up to the time where Oprah has accused Michael Jackson of being a pedophile. And she's accused him of being like a master groomer of children with the Neverland Ranch. She straight accused him of that and there was a Leaving Neverland. Then after that, Oprah did her show the next day called After Neverland. And Oprah straight out accused Michael Jackson of being like the master groomer of children and having Neverland Ranch, and he was the ultimate pedophile and stuff, right? Because there's something wrong. Everybody can see there's something wrong here. There's something wrong. And the thing that's wrong is so far out there that nobody ever got it. It got to the point where Oprah's like, are you a virgin? Then now, when we're in our modern time, Oprah's still advanced through the world and stuff, but she's like, oh, he must be a pedophile. She still doesn't understand what's wrong. What's wrong was he's abandoned as a child. He was abandoned as a child. Diana Ross tells him when he's 10 years old that she's his real mother. Okay, and then that's why, if you look at the traits of what would happen in the situation of Michael being abandoned, being raised as a Jackson, then having to find out he's not really a Jackson, but then having to still live under the umbrella of the Jacksons and American dream, he had to live, and then he's now got he's got two families. He's having to live with the Jacksons, having to uphold all the traditions and all the worth ethics of what the Jacksons are doing, but now he's got Diana Ross, who's trying to be like a mother again to him, and then he's trying to reconnect to her, but it's a weird relationship between those two because Diana's a big star. And Michael, when Michael's been raised in a family, he's got a mother. Catherine's like in his head, that's his mother. So when Diana's saying, I'm your mother, Michael's not feeling that. He wouldn't be feeling it that way. But what he would be feeling is, here's this big, gigantic star, this beautiful woman, and she's showing me a whole lot of attention. And then that's kind of how the thing develops too, where it allows him to be able to say things like right here.
I've always liked her. Mm-hmm. And when I was little, I used to stay with Diana Ross. Me and my brothers, we stayed with her for years. I've never said this, I always had a crush on her.
That's bullshit too, because he's made statements before, prior, this is 93, he's made previous statements saying that maybe, yeah, he'd marry Diana Ross. If you've made a statement saying that, yeah, you would marry Diana Ross, then this statement here that you're saying, I've never said, but I've had a crush on her. What do you mean? Of course you've had a crush on her. There's something there. With all the stuff, there was all the rumors about him having surgeries to try and look like Diana Ross. And there's been actual statements that he has made saying, yeah, that he would marry Diana Ross. Okay, so when he's saying this, I always say, I never said this, I've always had a crush on her. And but yeah, he would have had a crush on Diana Ross when he was a child. Like I said, when Diana Ross, and he says when we were young, we were living with Diana Ross, we lived with her for years. Okay, so all those years, and when you read in his book, Moonwalk, he says that Diana Ross would take him out alone. She never took out all the Jacksons. It wasn't a relationship. The relationship between Diana and the Jacksons was Diana and Michael, period. It had nothing to do with any of the other Jacksons. She instantly was drawn to Michael. She showed him favoritism all over the other children. She was able to take him out alone. How does she have the power to do that? How would Joe Jackson allow her to gain this, to build this relationship with Michael and not allow some of the other kids to be there? And once Joe saw, she's taking my kid out all the time, I'm sure Joe at that time would have said, let's move out of this bitch's house. We'll go get another place. We don't need to be staying with you. Get away from my kid, woman. We don't need you. They already had a Motown contract, you know? In Joe's eyes, technically, if Diana's not the mother and stuff, Joe would be like, I did all this. Who are you to be? And he's like, we're already giving you credit saying you discovered us and stuff. Now I got to let you take my kid and take him away from the family and start having it's like, that shit's it's not possible that it could have happened that way. But if Diana's actually the mother, and Joe knows that. It's not like he doesn't know that the kid's not his. The kid, and so Diana's like, that's my kid. And Diana's like, I'm going to have a relationship with him, and you're going to let me do what I want to do, or I'll fucking tell the whole world the truth. And then there goes your Jackson. Because Diana's already rich. Smokey's already rich. Berry Gordy's already rich. They're all already rich. Okay? It's not like if Diana does tell the truth, it's not like they're not going to be rich anymore and famous. They've already got big songs behind them. They're all accomplished. But the Jacksons, you take Michael out of that family at that time, they're done. They're done. They're over. They got nothing. They got nothing. If you take Michael out of that family, they're done. They haven't built up that freaking huge industry in the industry, all the legacy and stuff, okay? So Diana, that's how she had the power to tell Joe, I'm taking Michael out. Me and Michael are going out today. Me and Michael are going to do this. You guys, the Jacksons, you're moving to LA. Okay, you guys are moving into my house. Diana fucking made all that shit happen. How? Because she actually strong-armed them. Not because of any of these, it couldn't have happened. It's not that they just moved into her house. When they moved into the house, Diana instantly is all over Michael. Okay, but And she's building a relationship up to where Michael in his 30s saying he's got I never had a crush on Diana. And it's funny shit about what's happening here, what you're seeing and hearing and stuff. It's all a lie to cover up the one real truth of the whole story, is that Michael was abandoned as a child. He's raised in the Jackson family and thinks that Catherine's his actual mother. But so now when they move into her house and Diana's showing him all this attention, Michael's not feeling, he understands that, he's understanding it, but the reality is Catherine's his mom. He's like, thinks of her like a mother. Diana Ross is Diana Ross. And he would have had a crush on her before she tells him, of course. He's like, if you're Michael Jackson, right? And you're coming to Motown, and now Diana Ross is starting to be around, and she's the supreme stuff, of course he would be like, how would he not be thinking, boy, that's the most beautiful woman in the world, you know? And it's one of these things that's like, she looks like him, so he sees something in her that he doesn't even know that he's seeing, that there's something about her that looks attractive, and it's like, well, because she looks like you. And she sings good like you know, and everything about what it is. And then when she's showing him all this attention, Michael, he's not feeling it like a motherly love. When she's showing him that attention, he's feeling the attention of, I'm being hit on this star, this beautiful woman, you know? She's more like a beauty queen from, that's why I say the Billie Jean song. She's more like a beauty queen from a movie scene. So how does Michael identify his experience of what Diana is like? She was more like a beauty queen from a movie scene. Because it's not like the mother, it's more like she's like a beauty queen from a movie scene. That's the relationship, and that's why he's like, gets to this point where he's like, I always had a crush on her. Yeah, he did always have a crush on her, because when he meets her, she was more like a beauty queen from a movie scene. That's how he even talks about her, because Diana Ross is Billie Jean. So that's what I just want to say in all this. Let's go ahead and play I think it goes here where she asks him if you're a virgin. So this one I'm saying is like, Oprah full on knew this was bullshit, you know? So then she straight up asks him, are you a virgin?
He did, yes. I heard too, this was another one of those rumors, that you would propose to Elizabeth Taylor at some point.
There's going to be an ad here, and I think the virgin part's still coming and stuff. And, okay, so then there again, too, I heard that you proposed to Elizabeth Taylor, and then Elizabeth comes out and all this stuff. It's the same thing. He ain't going to marry Elizabeth Taylor. That definitely was not ever the same thing. He's in a serious relationship with her. And the same thing with Elizabeth Taylor. She's in the business, right? So Elizabeth Taylor knows for Michael to invoke her name, it just makes her look desirable. It makes her look attractive. And it makes her appealing to all of his fans, of which he's got millions and millions of fans. So Elizabeth Taylor is like, sure, go ahead. Say my name. Same thing. Same thing of what's occurring. The same type of people. And he's interested in these certain people of who he can trust. And these are the few friends that he allowed into his inner circle and stuff. But he's not having sex with any of these people, and he definitely wasn't going to marry Elizabeth Taylor. He's not marrying Diana Ross. He's not marrying Brooke Shields. None of that stuff happened. He never had any real relationships. The one that he has the real relationship with is Diana Ross, but that's because Diana's acting like she's showing him this motherly love. And not only is she showing him the motherly love, she's hugging him like the child that she abandoned, and she's like she's reunited with this child of which she had abandoned. And what she knew the damage of what that could have done to the kid, what the kid's life could have ended up being. But then the kid ends up coming back to her. That's the other thing. Michael, she became a big star. She didn't go pull Michael out of that house. She didn't go like find him like that. It's like Michael came back to her on his own. And so that's the other thing. When they embrace, you can see like Diana, the way she embraces him is like, it's that embrace. And then it's also that's the child of her first real love, her and Smokey. The one guy that she was so in love with was Smokey Robinson, the guy that she totally adored. And then she had the child with him, and look at what the child turned out to be. And it's one of the things about Diana knowing that it's like, boy, if I would have had a relationship with Smokey, what kind of children would we have produced? And she's got this child, and it's like a validation that her and Smokey are great, because look at what their greatness together accomplished. It accomplished creating this Michael Jackson kid. Without even being living with them, the kid had all the talent. So where he comes back on his own. It was the weirdest story ever. It's such an incredible, great story. But it ends with the sad ending. As we know what happens is that Michael, now here's the thing too, is like Michael Jackson, when he's saying this stuff, he had to go home and live with this. He had to go home and live with the fact that Oprah asked me if I was a virgin. And he has to say, and I ain't got no answers. I have to keep saying Brooke Shields' name. I got to say Diana Ross, who's my mother, you know. And he's got to keep saying that stuff. That causes pain. And what do people do in the real world to ease the mental, psychological pain of what they're dealing with? A lot of times they turn to drugs and alcohol abuse. And because that pain, you can't get rid of it. He can't stop that pain. Even when he's got children, of where now he's got to nurture those children and provide a good home environment and an experience for them. But when he dies, the kids are in the house. He's not being a father and being a good role model for his children. No, he's in a bed, passed out, being drugged up by Dr. Murray for hours upon hours every day. He's not being a father. He's neglecting them. How does this dude get to the point where he's just like in full-on neglect of his own children so that he can fulfill his drug addiction? Because the drug addiction is the only thing that eases that pain of what he can't get rid of that pain. That's why people do the drugs. That's what he was doing. And it goes to the point where it's so hard he can't deal with it that he's dead. He's the first one out of all the Jacksons. Okay, even Diana Ross, they're still alive. Diana Ross still alive. Smokey Robinson still alive. Berry Gordy still alive. You're not going to make them answer for the reality of what they did. The only thing that ever, like people to like, you want to help Michael Jackson, you want to free him. It's like, you ever seen that movie, the Field of Dreams? And the Field of Dreams, the whole thing is ease his pain. It says like, go the distance, ease his pain, ease his pain. That's the whole thing about the whole thing, is ease his pain. And it's talking about fixing a wrong that took place in the past so you can fix it. Ease his pain. Ease the soul of that dead man. Ease his pain. Okay, well, you people talk about being Michael Jackson fans and all that stuff. Well, okay, ease his pain. There's only one way to ease his pain, and that is to force the truth to be known to the world and demand Diana Ross, Smokey Robinson, and Berry Gordy to answer for what they did to Michael Jackson. Ease his pain.